rematch. I know some of us wanted the Bills. I'm not upset to slay the dragon or have to, attempt to slay the dragon. We're going to break that down this week. We're going to give you the keys to the game, our predictions, obviously. Will the Birds win? Will they won't? We can bring up some stuff there. And, I'm going to ask the fellas what's their one memory, because we all can't have the same, from the Eagles, favorite play from the Eagles Super Bowl win. They're one. Now, once I ask that, well, I'm pretty sure us being Eagles stewards as we are, or scholars, that there's more than one play that we could come up, 3, 4, 5 in that game. So it won't be a hard thing for us. But so we don't have the same one, I will ask one at a time. That'll be toward the end of the show. Maybe some counterfeit green. But now the introductions. I'm the Godfrey, as you can see up above me. To my right and left, I got my two compadres here. I got Cool McCain from Eagles Elite Podcast. And then I got the NFL Genius from Wire to Wire and a million other shows. But Wire to Wire is the flagship. Gene talks everything sports. He even does badminton. Just joking. He doesn't do that. But Gene, welcome to the show. Guys, are we ready to get this started? I'm hyped for this weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm EA Sports, bro. I'm EA Sports.
In the game.
I'm ready. I'm ready to rock
Let's
and
go.
roll. I will say this. I'll give you a little soliloquy, a little response to what you just said. I've been taking, fiber medication this week. I've been taking, Imodium type. My stomach has been a wreck in lieu of this game. Sounds funny, but I want them to win so bad that this is not even fun for me. This week has not even been fun for me because I am so nervous about the game Sunday. The excitement and the happiness I experienced in 2018 after their first Super Bowl win is something that I cannot wait to experience again. And I want it so badly.
You know what? I was thinking about that, Gene. If they win, right, it's going to be awesome. But can it ever compare to the first one? Because we waited so long for that as a fan base. Like, we're talking like a couple of generations of people waiting for that championship. It felt like a collective sigh over the Eagles fan base, if not for a couple days. It was the happiest I've ever seen the city, the most united I've ever seen the city at the parade, the most friendly I've ever seen everybody in Philadelphia all at once. Like, you could have walked it as a Giants fans and we wouldn't have threw you out. Probably would have just let you observe. We would have been peaceful that day. But
it will not be.
Right.
I don't know how you feel. I don't know how Cool feels, but I have my reasons. There's no way it could compare to the first one.
Yeah. Now, Gene, I know this is emotional. Did you get to see it with your father?
I did. I watched it with my dad. If you don't know, the profile picture I had on my Facebook just 4 months ago is me and my dad at Frankfurt and Cotman together after the game. Got my dad to go out there at 11:30 at night, Frankfurt and Cotman. And I don't know how many people that listen to the show know Frankfurt and Cotman, but it's just like Broad Street.
It's ridiculous.
Philadelphia. I mean, the entire streets, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 15 streets are blocked off. Just people filling the streets of Philadelphia. Celebrating, chanting, screaming, hugging. It was, I got to watch it with my dad, and it'll be great. Trust me. I want to watch it. I want to be able to watch it at home and be able to tap his urn and be like, hey man, like, we got another one. But nothing will ever compare to that. That is, without a doubt, the best moment of my life with my dad.
It's funny you say that because one of the memories I had my dad is introduction to sports, Eagles football, and he was passed away at the time. And the first thing I did after being in disbelief of the Eagles Super Bowl win, and it was picturesque. There was a Cowboys fan there wearing a 20 Dorsett jersey, and he looked so defeated. It touched my heart to see his heart broken. Anyway, I went to the window. I was at 4th and South. My buddy had an apartment up there, lit a cigar, and I thought about my dad. And I kind of like, I don't know, talked to him in a way, like this, finally happened. And, and I got a little emotional at that point. And I was just like, finally won one, Dad, and then
that's the way it gets though. For some of us, I don't know, like you know, everybody's not me, right? Like everybody has their own story, their own like. Cool, I would love to hear yours. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel like this one can touch what the first one was?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think beating this team would be phenomenal and would be a completely different experience because of, you know, all the haberdashery and tomfoolery with them all year and the referees and all that. But I think for me personally, it's the same because my parents already passed away for the first one, so I didn't have that thing. I get why it won't ever be the same for you. But I think it'll be better for me in a way because if we win this one, I will be able to come and go to the parade.
Love that.
That's something I couldn't do for the other one. So there'll be reasons why it'll be like this one's better. But I think that first one, like I watched that with a bunch of other Eagles fans, and we literally cried. No one ate any dog poop, but we did cry. So I think that it could be better in certain ways, but like overall, it won't be just because you can never replace that first one, right? Just to be a little MA here, you know, little X here, you know, you never can get but your one first bust, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's kind of like that. So it can never really be, but certain aspects can be for certain people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel you on that for sure. For sure. I feel like, you know, the other thing I remember too is you remember the clip of the guy who was a newscaster and like he was like getting the news while he found out the Eagles won, black gentleman, and he was like, they won. Like, you know, that as in a broadcasting situation, totally unprofessional, but who gives a crap? Like at that point, he's like, they won. I remember that and hearing about people flying in from like all over the world to get to that parade, right? So getting to the parade, cool. I hope we win so you can experience that. Like, I hope you win.
There, yeah, for sure.
I'll be there too. You will be seeing me. We will find each other. There is no doubt about it. Come hook or crook, I will be there.
Do you have like I don't count my chickens before they hatch, right? We can talk about this Monday. But do you have plans on what you would be doing or who you'd be going up with? Is there a group of people that you'd want to like? Because I was planning. I'll tell you the truth, right? I went to the parade, and I don't think I was going to go this year if they win. I wouldn't have went 2 years ago. It's just not my like. Listen, I went there. I've been to a parade. I've been to one in my life, and then 70. You know, it's just 7 hours standing on my feet. It's not my cup of tea, bro. I don't go to live games. It's just not who I am. But if there's a potential of like me, you, Key, Godfrey, and a group of us like Birds Deep and people that podcast all kind of link up together, I don't know. I might change that mentality.
I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna have a DJ. I might
if we win for sure. All three of us are saying we're going. And then of course you guys, a couple of my other people's Key says she will be going. So if we do win, we'll see. I mean, now everybody's saying like, yeah, but you know how it goes. You have to wait until the win actually happens and then see the execution and stuff. But Key will be there.
I want that.
I want that too. I want that for Mama Williams.
So here's the thing about that, like the experience event. So where I live, I'm on the northwest side of the city, so I could get down to the back end of the parade where it'll probably end, right? But what I'm trying to what I'll tell you is I'm gonna be down there with a microphone. Like I have a DJI mic. I'm gonna interview people. I'm gonna try to get some content for Birds Deep. I'm gonna be down there no matter what. But people always want to meet up. But what happens is the logistics of getting down to the parade will get in the way. So at a certain point, you got to cut loose and meet up with who you can, right? And it's kind of hard to manage. The cell phone reception's all over the place. Like, you know, like I don't care what service you have.
You better have Verizon, bro. I got prioritized data. It never fails me. Ever.
Prioritized data. Well, I don't know. Did they have that in 2017?
They did not. But prioritized data is incredible. Ultra wideband, you have no problem with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna probably be trying to be toward the art museum if that's the same route they take.
Yeah, that's where I was last year. They had a TV up there. You go watch the whole. They had the whole game on a big screen. You go watch the game again. It was awesome. But hey, we got a game to preview. We count our chickens before they hatch. Let's talk about some game. Listen, I don't care. We did a show last week. The commies are long gone. It's been a week and a half, right? grades are irrelevant for me right now. I can give them to you super quick. A for Jalen Hurts, A for the play calling, A for the defense. I'm done. You scored 50-something points. Defense played great. The coaching was great. The play calling was great. Saquon was great. Jalen was great. I'm done. I'm not worried about the commies anymore. The commies are yesterday's news. I'm ready to break down this game.
Ditto.
What? You too,
Ditto.
right?
Yes.
I'm ready to break down this game. I'm ready to talk about this situation, what we're walking into. I want to hear your opinion on something. Can I ask you guys, can I start with this question? How concerned are you with the sickness that is going around the Eagles locker room right now? Another report came out about other players are caught what Jalen Carter had, and a sickness is going around the Eagles locker room right now. Kenny Gainwell is dealing with a concussion and sickness. Vic Fangio
and me too.
Yeah. So apparently there's a few players that have been sick.
Am I concerned about it? I'm not, because I was at a convention this weekend, a trade show, and I didn't get sick. A lot of people did. Not everybody will, but I will say that if you're an athlete, and what's probably going around, it's probably a 3 to 4 day recovery time. If you're an athlete, you're going to have things like IVs. You're going to have other tools in your bucket to get you to full strength before this game comes up. Some of it might be good for them to be able to rest. I think they'll do walkthroughs probably still, right? But like that kind of stuff, if they're contagious, they're probably going to try to keep them away from each other. It could be concerning, but I think they're going to be ready. You know what I mean? People are, when you're in an extraordinary situation, sometimes people push through and they just reach for that extra gear. I don't care what team they're on. If you're in the Super Bowl, you're getting up for it, and a good IV can go a long way.
I get it.
I think in 2017, if I remember correctly, we had a little bug go through the locker room. So I'm not concerned unless we get to game day and there are guys that are like, throwing up and can't perform. But as long as everything's, the worst is over by Sunday, I'm okay, because little bugs happen. Sometimes you get that. It helps get some of the nerves out. Helps you take care of yourself so you're ready for the game. And you got the off week, so it's kind of hard to keep everything consistent in the off week anyway. So maybe the sickness kind of makes it feel faster for the guys who are getting sick. Because, when you're sick, what I'm saying, those days run through real quick. So I don't think it'll be an issue. I think it is something to at least pay attention to, though, just in case. Because I know Nolan Smith, I think, is one of the guys that just kind of got sick. So is he going to be good by game time? Because he's a guy we're going to need. Jalen Carter, I think, did practice today finally. He's been sick. So we're starting to get some of the guys back that were sick. And then some of the guys are in the middle of it now. So we should be good by Sunday. But, hey, we just got to kind of wait on it. But even if you aren't feeling your best, like Godfrey said, juice up. You know what I'm saying? Take some of that Patrick Mahomes special juice from our Super Bowl 2 years ago. You feel better.
Yeah.
He missed the media availability again today due to his sickness. Let me see the Eagles practice report.
The other thing, too, is I wanted to bring up, I think it's a positive thing. How do we feel about Brandon Graham playing in this game?
Why would it not be a positive thing?
I think it is, but listen, he hasn't played for several months, right? Is he going to have the rust off? Is it a detriment? Or I don't think it is, but some people might think it is.
My guy's going to play 12 plays, bro.
You think that's all he's going to play?
Maybe 15 at the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not going to.
You're not going to sit Nolan Smith down, who's playing out of his world. You're not going to switch Josh Sweat down. But what's going to happen is they're going to give him those guys a couple breathers. You're going to get Brandon Graham's energy, and when he comes out there, he's going to play like it's the last 12 plays of his life. I actually think Brandon Graham gets a sack. I think that energy and that power, and I think that being able to see him come back from that bicep tear will be such a bigger reason for the guys around him to play. Right?
I agree.
I think that's not. I don't know how it would be a negative. I don't know how it would be a negative.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm hyped that he's back just for the leadership ability that he's bringing to the table. you know, and
The other mouth on the defense. Him and
another
CJ.
mouth on the defense.
Those are the mouths on the defense. Ain't nobody else really talking. Jalen Carter knock you out, but he ain't gonna talk too much. So having those two guys,
You're right.
you know what I'm saying? Both of them out there, because you know BG, he gonna be more tired from running his mouth than from actually playing.
Yeah, it's Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith dealing with flu-like symptoms ahead of Super Bowl. Lane Johnson's also been dealing with sickness, and Quinyon Mitchell apparently has laryngitis. So that's the update for the 4 Eagles players that are of relevancy that are sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's a foregone conclusion to them that they're playing, right? So,
even if they were sick, they're sick on Thursday. You got 3 days to recover with the best medical group in the world. And then you're going to get IV'd up before the game. So I don't think they're not going to play. But what I think is when you're recovering from sickness, we've all recovered from sickness before.
Mhm.
When you recover from sickness, you get winded quicker. You get tired quicker. You're not 100%. You feel weaker. So be real with you, it could cause an issue.
I hope not. And nobody's getting sick on the Chiefs team, huh?
Probably not.
I knew it. I knew there was something up. Gene, how about
now they passed over the coronavirus?
Those Kansas City Chieferese.
I love
that.
That's my first name for him.
Yeah, ever since you said that, I've been using that. Cool. I'm not gonna lie. So Gene, let me ask you, because I heard you bring this up on Wire to Wire.
Yep.
I want you to talk about Roger Goodell having to talk about the calls and the Chiefs.
Bro,
I thought that was very interesting when you brought that up.
I think that's such an interesting thing for the Eagles, right? I think it's so interesting, the fact that there's been so many conversations and there's been so much talk about the referees becoming an issue that Roger Goodell and the head of officiating had to respond to questions about it. I think that's great for Philadelphia. I think that's an awesome thing. If you're an Eagles fan, you have to feel a little better knowing that it's been so big that they have to reply to it. It's going to be tooth and nail come Super Bowl. They're going to be watching. They're going to be overlooking it. And listen, look, I'll never forget it. And Godfrey, I know since then you've backtracked a little bit what you said. But yes. But I'll never forget the night of the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And I was inconsolable. I was inconsolable. I was on.
You were a little upset. You were
a little upset is an understatement.
Yeah, he was very upset.
When you cheat my team like they cheated my team in that Super Bowl. And look, I want to be very clear when I say this. I don't know if the Eagles would have won the football game. Right. I know we would have been down 3 with 2 minutes left. Could we have tied it? Would have won in overtime? Would the Chiefs have won in overtime? I don't know. Could we have took the lead and scored a touchdown and win the Super Bowl? I don't know. But I was cheated out of the last 2 minutes of that game by now what's reported. It's literally, you can Google it. Worst 5 calls in Super Bowl history. Number 3, James Bradbury. Worst 5 calls in Super Bowl history. It's number 3.
What was number 1 and 2?
I stopped watching when I seen 3.
Because that's
hold up.
There's a couple bad ones. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, listen. I don't know.
Funny. I literally typed in worst 5 calls in Super Bowl history, and AI overview goes, according to many analysts, some of the worst calls in the Super Bowl history, including the James Bradbury holding call. That is so wild.
So the thing is as Gene knows, and I'm never one to make excuses for my team. I think there's always plays left on the field. However, for you to let a game end like that, and like as things have progressed since that Super Bowl, the controversy that's coming to light, even though I think some of it is a little bit of Chiefs fatigue and not necessarily what it is. I do think that he has a penchant to point, and the ref will be like, oh, there must have been something wrong. Because when you look at that play, he pointed, and then the flag was thrown. It was kind of a little delayed of a flag too, right? It wasn't like right away, and you're like, what the? And you're like, nah, come on. And, you know, when you see some of the egregious holding calls that don't, you know, so when people feel like they got screwed, I'm like, does that burn? Does that sting? I don't feel sorry for him because of what I had to live through. But it definitely is something where you can't let it end that way, right?
Yeah.
And you got to let the teams decide on the field. And and that's why I look at it like, and Gene's been using this term, and I have been. You got to knock the champ out, right? Because you can't leave it up to the judges. There's no judges in football, so they say. But in that one, it was almost like they gave that call because they're like, oh, obviously, if Patrick's pointing, because we've seen athletes get calls like that through sports. Michael Jordan was famous for getting a call that another guy wouldn't get when he was a player. There's people who get strike calls in baseball that a rookie ain't getting. I've seen that. There's people that have been hot mic'd. I think it was Hockey Lee was saying like, oh, you're not getting that call. I forget who that was. You were bringing that up, Gene.
Yeah.
And so it does exist in sports. It does. So they're getting that now because, listen, man, he, as good as Patrick Mahomes is, he's the best quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's always politicking for calls. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I found something for you, Godfrey. You asked me to look at something. I found it. It's I don't know what's going on with Cool. Like, he keeps disconnecting, but I'm gonna share my screen.
Let's do it.
This is for you, Godfrey. Can you see my screen?
I can.
This is the #1 worst call in Super Bowl history. This is 4th and goal. The 49ers are down 5. Minute 50 left. You ready?
I remember this. Play it.
Flinging it to Crabtree. Some contact, to say the least. It's a turnover on downs, no flags. What do you think of Jimmy Smith here, Dion? Is this a penalty or not?
No, that's a great play.
That's how they've been playing all night.
That was listed as number 5. This was listed.
Goes to a horse collar, but no call. 3rd down and 18. Hasselbeck throwing, and it's intercepted at the 5-yard line by Ike Taylor. And Ike Taylor is brought back to the 28-yard line where he's tackled by Hasselbeck.
Now, what happened on that play? There was a horse collar. What happened?
I'll go back. It says Taylor picks up Hasselbeck. I don't know. It's it's saying this is it right here. I had the wrong.
Oh, that was that offensive pass interference.
Yeah,
that was awful. That was awful. I remember that one. That's the one where I'm like, what? Because that's what happens on the next play, right? Was the interception?
Yes, correct. That's exactly why I was.
It's almost like baseball when you get a bad strike call and it's a ball, and then the dude puts it in the seats on the next pitch. It's the same thing. You're like, and you almost feel it coming. You're like, oh man, here comes the home run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was very mad. Key said Gene was pissed. And then the problem is this, right, Key? I'm gonna bring this part up. They called one defensive holding in that entire football game, and that was it. It was the Bradbury.
Crazy.
One.
Crazy.
The whole Super Bowl. One. All right, let's break down advantages and disadvantages. If the Chiefs, we'll start here because we're going to talk about the Eagles for a little bit. If the Chiefs were to win the Super Bowl, what would have had to happen? If the Chiefs were to win the Super Bowl, what would have had to happen?
They would have had to stop the run, and the Eagles would have had to have turned the ball over at least twice. That's what would have had to happen. You're losing possessions. There would have to be turnover on downs where we go for it on 4th and 1. The tush push doesn't work, or we go 4th and 1 and we get stopped somehow, and we're giving them short field and extra possessions by turning the ball over. That's what would have to happen for the Eagles to win. I mean, lose. If I'm answering that correctly.
Okay. For the Eagles to lose the game, you would say the Eagles would have to turn the ball over.
Yeah, and give them extra possessions, the Chiefs, right? Like, I have a feeling there's going to be a couple times where we're going to be like, oh, shoot, we're going for it on 4th and 1 here. Should we? And if you don't convert those, that could backfire, right? I mean, I think Nick Sirianni's going to be aggressive, and I'm not going to complain about them being aggressive. I think you got to go in swinging.
I got one answer for you, and I think it's the only answer that people need to understand and worry about. If the Philadelphia Eagles are, let me tell you something right now. I have zero concern with that defense showing up. I think that Pat will be Pat, and he'll score the ball when he needs to. But I do think the Chiefs are going to score points. I don't know if they're going to go nuts, but I do think they'll score points. But in order for the Eagles to lose this football game, one thing you cannot let happen. You cannot let Steve Spagnuolo ruin the game. You have to be better at blitz pickup. You have to be able to understand where the blitz is coming from. You have to be able to stay out of big sacks, big loss of downs, throwing the ball into the wrong places, and get fixated on one or two things. What Spagnuolo does is he tries to make your team one-dimensional. He run blitzes, and he run blitzes, and he run blitzes. They are 18 straight games without allowing a 100-yard rusher. And the reason they've had such success versus the Baltimore Ravens is because they turned them into a passing team by crowding the line and run blitzing. You have two of the best man-to-man one-on-one receivers on the outside. You have one of the best man-to-man tight ends in football. You have to be able to beat man coverage and throw the football against the blitz. You have to be able to do it. Because if you don't, you won't get him off the line of scrimmage, and Saquon Barkley will not be rushing for 100 yards.
Yeah.
You can't just walk into the game and go, well, they have 17 guys on the line of scrimmage. We're going to run the ball into the teeth of their defense. The Chiefs are going to start this game saying, you're not going to run the football.
So I agree with you. I think it's overplayed a little bit about like Jalen not being able to pass. I think he can when he has to, and I think he will in this game. I think that plays into the Eagles' favor if they're going to kind of play it that way and say, oh, you're going to have to beat us with the pass, because eventually if they start beating that blitz, then they're going to have to respect it. And then the running lanes are going to open up too, because that's when you're going to see people get road graded, a little bit of play action, a little counter, a little off tackle. I just think if that's what their game plan is, I don't think it'll go well for them. I mean, you're going to listen, we have a really good offensive line. But they have a good D line. No mistake about it. I think Karlaftis is good. Chris Jones is really, really good. They're going to try to get to the quarterback, and Spagnuolo is a really, really good defensive coordinator, and he's going to try to disguise the coverages. We saw that call at the end of the game against Josh Allen, and that was it. Gene was talking about it was a great call by him. He's going to try to bring something out of the bag that they're not expecting. I mean, that's he's been in these situations before as a defensive coordinator, not just with the Chiefs, with the Giants as well. So, I long passing situations, I agree, they can't happen. You got to get rid of the ball quick, meaning Jalen cannot hold on to the ball. It's got to come out. Boom. Throw or we're gone. Throw or we're gone. You know what I mean? They got to respect the run from the quarterback too. That's gonna be really important.
Controlling the edge is very important defensively. The Bills did not control the edge. Whenever Pat Mahomes needed a first down, you've seen that the Chiefs used the tight end to chip the defensive end, and they did not control the edge. You have to control the edge and not let Pat. Pat doesn't want to run up the middle. He wants to run towards the sidelines. He does not want to run up the middle. The lane would have to be huge for him to run the ball up the middle. He does not want to do that. Yeah. He wants to run around the edges. Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Jalix Hunt, they're going to have to do their job controlling and keeping that lane discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. If the Eagles were to lose the football game, what would have had to happen?
Well, we know one thing would be calls, but outside of that, it would be that they were able to take away the run, and we didn't use the pass to break them out. And it doesn't have to be long passes. There's going to be some long passes because that's our offense. Like they've shown us all year. It's going to be some, and it's going to frustrate us at times. But second, third down, we need good, solid plays. We need to, make sure we get good, quick throws, slants, screens. Throw the ball to Saquon as well. Don't just use him as a runner. Use all the options. They're not looking at guys like Dotson. They'll look at Goddard some, but not as much because you have AJ and Smitty out there. So spread. This is really the game where you have to spread the ball around. You can't be locked on, number 11 is my buddy. Let me give him the ball. Devontae, I really like him, but it doesn't matter. If they have a green jersey on and they're open, you're going to have to give them the ball. And if they can't make the play, it's not on you. And the main thing, we cannot turn the ball over like we did the last time. We have to play turnover-free football in this game.
100%. Can't be given that a non-contact fumble for a touchdown. That's for sure. Listen, the thing about Jalen is, and I think this is the matchup he wanted. He wants to redeem himself. The kind of guy
game for him.
Yeah, the kind of guy he is. I think that he's been thinking about this since that fumble and that game, since the last play. Even though the Bradbury play was awful, Jalen's the type of dude to take self-responsibility, and I think he's been thinking about that ever since. And this is the redemption game for him. And if there's one thing I know that Jalen's good at, it's getting redemption. I mean, we've seen it so many times throughout his career, college, the pros, week over week situations where he's being questioned. And I think he's got to be locked in, man. He looked good last time they played him in the Super Bowl, but listen, he had a couple hiccups. I think this dude's locked in. I really, really do. And the thing is when I look at this team compared to the Chiefs team, it's not the same Chiefs team play, but there's a lot of the same players on from that team that are still there. And the Eagles have upgraded since they've faced each other last time in the Super Bowl in a lot of spots.
All right. Well, here's the fun question. If the Philadelphia Eagles were to win the football game, what would they be? What would they have to do?
I would like to go first on this one, sir, if you don't mind.
Sir. Yes, sir.
For the Philadelphia Eagles to win the game, execute. Play football. Don't worry about who you're playing. Don't worry about the referees. Go out and get points every drive, whether it's 3, and Jake Elliott, I'm looking at you, or whether it's 7. Every drive we need to score. More touchdowns than field goals, but field goals can help too, because we need this game we need to win this game by 17 points. Or we need to go into the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game up by 17. Because that way, even when they do the horse malarkey that they do, we have the cushion. That's what we did not do in the last Super Bowl. We had them early, but then we started giving ground, making bad calls, not going for it on 4th and 1, crazy stuff. We have an identity. We have something that we do. We have something that works. We run the ball. If the run is not there, we throw the ball. Our quarterback runs the ball as well. And the problem with them trying to take away Saquon is, are you going to take away Saquon and Jalen? Because if you're going to do that, that means you have to dedicate 2 people to watching them at least. So that means there's going to be opportunities for the wide receivers. So for me, I feel like if we go out and execute in this game and we use our game plan that we've been using all year, we've changed it from time to time, but execute. Defensively, like you were saying, gaps, edges, control. Do not get outside of yourself. Just play football. I think we have the best chance to win this game because I do believe we're the more talented team.
He lost, Tom. Elway lost multiple before he won his first. Might have been 3.
Cottrell put a stat says Chancellor. I believe I saw a stat said no one has ever won a Super Bowl after losing their first one. I don't think that's an accurate stat.
I think there's been like 1 or 2 people. There hasn't been a lot, but there's been.
That doesn't mean they've never won a Super Bowl. You're just saying they've never won the next one after losing their first one. I think that's what he's saying.
What he's saying is they never won a Super Bowl. He didn't say the next Super Bowl. He said a Super Bowl, sir.
No, he said one has one after losing. I think he meant what I said, though. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but that's an interesting stat. There's another stat that came up.
You're wrong on that one.
Well, the best stat, and we'll get to the stats in a minute. Godfrey, what do the Philadelphia Eagles have to do to win this football game?
They gotta listen. there's the weak link in their team. I think is kicking right now, and it's not normally like that with Elliott. They got to not miss extra points. We can't leave points on the field. I know that sounds nitpicky, but dude, at one point can make a difference here. Instead of them having to go for, they got to go for 8 instead of 7, right? It just no missed extra points, no missed field goals. I think at the same time, though, you're going to have to be in the mode where you're not getting field goals, you're getting touchdowns, right? So they're going to win if they have these long sustained drives when they're capable of, where they eat an 8-minute, 9-minute portion of the whole quarter and they score a touchdown, right? That's going to be something where if they control the clock and they just wear them out, they're going to win if that happens. If you see a drive like that where they eat 10 minutes, they're going to win because that beats a team down, wears a team down on the defensive side. And, you know, it's demoralizing. We've seen them do it several times throughout the year, other years too. Everybody's healthy on this offensive line. Actually, I'm sorry. How's our center doing? Can we get an update on him?
Everyone's starting. Everyone's back at practice.
What a warrior he was too in NFC Championship game, right?
Yes,
That-
Cam
that-
Jurgens was a warrior.
That dude was like, I'm not coming out for nothing. He was like, get away from me. Get off me.
I think you're talking about Landon Dickerson. Cam
Landon
Jurgens went in the second half. Dickerson started the game for Jurgens. Second half, Jurgens came in for Dickerson. This game, Jurgens and Dickerson will be playing. But I want to answer the question. What the Eagles would have to do in order to win the Super Bowl is three things. Three things that if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, this is three things they did. They were able to run the football effectively, and they did not move away from the run. Obviously, you need to be able to pass to set up the run, but you cannot give in to the run. John Elway did it, controller. I'm almost sure John Elway lost Super Bowls before he won one. So please check that out. John Elway. I'm sorry.
I saw a thing, the two that I saw, was Lynn Dawson and Bob Greasy.
I'm almost sure that John Elway lost the Super Bowl before he won one. But
He lost multiple Super Bowls where he won one.
correct. So I don't know what the stat is that we're missing. But they would have to be able to run the ball effectively. Jalen Hurts has to be able to throw the ball effectively. He has to have a B+ game at minimum. And the defense has to be able to control the line of scrimmage. They have to be able to contain. Look, I'll tell you right now, the way the Eagles win the Super Bowl is if they game wreck the middle of that line. The Chiefs' offensive line is nowhere near what it was 2 years ago. Joe Thuney, their Hall of Fame all-pro left guard, is now playing left tackle for them. The issues that the Chiefs have on this line are left tackle. They've been helping with a ton. Josh Sweat and Nolan Smith need to have a field day on Joe Thuney. He's a guard transferred to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did was they ended up replacing him interior with a backup. Where's Jalen Carter play? Okay, you want to double Jalen Carter with Creed Humphrey? That's fine. That means you're man-on-man, Milton Williams and Jordan Davis. You have to be able to stop the run with 4 to 5 people.
Yeah, and here's the thing about that too. When they lost against the Buccaneers, what really hurt them is their offensive line was not in good shape, and they got beat up in that game, right? The Buccaneers bring the defense, and they were getting to them. You know, the thing about their offensive line, their running game isn't as good as usually is. Kareem Hunt's not going to beat you to the edges at this point in his career. He's going to go up the middle. That's fine. You want to give him that. Isaiah Pacheco, I don't know. He hasn't been the same self. Very serious injury he got. I don't know if they were holding him back, and then he's going to come out gangbusting, you know, because he can get to the edge. We'll see. But I think we have enough talent on defense to contain their run game. I think we got to make him get rid of the ball. You know, the thing about the Chiefs is they won a lot of close games. I think history is on the Eagles side about not winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. And it's hard to do that, right? I mean, if they had Rashee Rice, much tougher game, right? I mean, Travis Kelce, all-time great tight end. He's taken a little tick down on his game. Still good, still formidable. I'm not saying he's nobody, but not Travis Kelce of 3 years ago for sure, or even maybe last year, right? So when we start looking at the advantages, you know, player to player, position to position, I think the Eagles are the outright winner. You know, now there's
let's do that. Let's do the edges real quick.
Okay.
I want to do edges. We'll keep a tally, and between the three of us, we'll vote. Is that fair?
Sure.
Quarterback.
Chiefs.
So we all agree the Chiefs there, right? 1-0. Running back. Can we make it very quick? A 1-1.
Yes.
Offensive line.
Eagles.
It is a unit.
Eagles.
Agreed. So 2-1. Wide receivers.
Eagles.
3-1. Tight end. I'm going Chiefs here.
I'm going to go Eagles because we have multiple.
I'm going to go Chiefs.
Chiefs too.
Calcaterra and got.
They got no.
It's close, but I'm going Chiefs.
3-2. Let's go on the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line.
Eagles.
I agree.
I mean,
Chris Jones, George Karlaftis. I'll read them out for you if you like.
Yeah, I know it's still close, but I'm going to go Eagles by a hair.
Linebackers without Nakobe Dean.
I'm probably going to get that one to the Chiefs.
Same. Now we're looking at 4-3.
Yeah, it's going to go Chiefs.
Secondary.
Eagles.
5-3. Kicker.
Chiefs.
Coaching staff.
Chiefs.
5-5.
Yeah, Chiefs. I'll go Chiefs too.
It's 5-5. I broke this down before. It's not as one-sided as people think it is.
No, it's not.
It's 5-5.
I have a 6-4, but y'all have.
Oh, you get 6-4 because you gave tight end the Eagles. But
yeah,
as a group, we kind of collectively 5-5.
I see where Cool's coming with that though, because Goddard's healthy, and I think at this point in his career, he's younger. Kelsey's a veteran, great player, but he can be shut down, right? I mean, he was shut down pretty much last Super Bowl until linebacker got hurt, and then he went.
You're absolutely correct. Oh my God, that was one of the worst injuries, man.
That
was so bad watching that injury last year.
Sometimes things just fall the right way for certain teams, right? And I just think that road's coming to an end here. Like, there's a lot of injuries that the Chiefs have had to deal with, and I think at a certain point, when I look at who they had to go through in the playoffs, when I look at some of these games they've had to play, Eagles had to go through a gauntlet at one point. I didn't think they were going to handle the Ravens the way they did, right? I think all of us on this panel had them that marked as an L. We were like, okay, but they've had their ups and downs, and Andy Reid is great with 2 weeks, but man, I just don't see anybody on their offense beside Patrick Mahomes that scares me. Eagles stay healthy throughout this game. I think they can limit their points. I mean, they have had trouble scoring points against the likes of Las Vegas this year. I've seen them play down to certain teams, and I just feel like we have the ultimate ace card for any defense, and this could work against us too, because Chris Jones ain't no slouch, is that D tackle that can disrupt.
I mean, I get it. I'll tell you right now, I felt a lot more confidence with Mekhi Becton, Cam Jurgens, and Landon Dickerson handling the interior of the Chiefs' defensive line. And here's another stat, and this is the best stat of them all, right? We've heard all the stats. Vic Fangio is 0-8 his career versus Patrick Mahomes.
But it was 0-7, but I wanted to talk about the stat. I'm glad you brought that up.
0-8.
Yeah. It's 0-8? Okay.
Yeah. But the best stat, the stat that's the most important stat, Philadelphia Eagles 5-0 this year on artificial turf, and their defense has allowed 11.6 points per game. Number 2 is at 17 points per game. They are a full touchdown better than the number 2 defense on artificial turf. They are fast on 3 levels, and turf plays to performance. It plays to speed. The Eagles have speed on 3 levels: line, linebackers, safeties. I think that plays into the Philadelphia Eagles' hands. I think when you have Cooper DeJean, you have Quinyon Mitchell, you have Darius Slay, you got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Zach Baun, who's been all over the field, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter. Guys, all I want you to do is go back to the New Orleans Saints game and tell me how much of a game wrecker Jalen Carter was, what he did on that artificial turf. I want you to think about how much Nolan Smith has become a better player this year and what that speed is going to look like coming around the edge versus a guard. I get he's playing tackle. He's a guard. You're going to put that speed versus a guard? Guards play guard because they lack athleticism, they lack speed, or they lack arm length. They're the 3 reasons why you put an offensive lineman at guard. You can't lack athleticism, you can't lack length, and you can't lack speed if you got Nolan Smith coming around the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think when you take Kelsey away, they have a hard time moving the ball like they used to be able to, right? If you're not going to give them short fields and not make mistakes, and I think you can get Patrick Mahomes to turn the ball over. You know, and the Eagles are opportunistic defense. The thing about that, I wanted to say this about the Fangio stat. People talk about that stat, right? But
Yep.
the devil's always in the details. If you look at the quarterbacks he had when he was a head coach in Denver, and you look at last year with the Miami Dolphins in sub degree weather, 0 degree weather,
Yep.
right? It will make any defense or defensive coordinator look like they're very beatable when your offense can't do anything on the field. And when he was in the Broncos had a relatively decent defense when he was there, but they had Teddy Two Gloves playing quarterback, right? They had multiple.
Real quick.
So
I'm gonna sum it up for you, Godfrey.
Mhm.
Vic Fangio's 0-8 against the Chiefs. Whoop-de-doo. He didn't have this mother freaking defense. He didn't have this mother freaking offense, and he wasn't on this team. So guess what? It's going to go from 0-8 to 1-8.
Yeah,
this is the perfect time to do it.
I agree with you. I think those stats are they're always interesting. It's almost like, oh, the Eagles never lost to the Rams in their whole history, and they're going all the way back to 1960. Yeah, that's a stat, but is it really relevant, right? The same thing with that record with Vic Fangio. Every team's not different, and they have the quarterback that cannot expose a defense. When you have a defense on the field too long, they get tired, things get sloppy. You know, I think that's not going to be the situation here for Fangio.
Both games he coached for the Miami Dolphins last year with a serviceable defense, and both those games, Kansas City's offense was not moving the ball up and down the field. Just to be clear, the Chiefs won those games because their defense absolutely shut down Tua. You go to the Germany game, the Dolphins didn't score till the fourth quarter. They lost 21-7. You go to the game that happened, or 21-14 was all said and done. You go to the game that happened in the playoffs, they lost 26-7. But Patrick Mahomes had a very pedestrian game, dropped back 41 times and only completed 23 passes. If he drops back 41 times and completes 23 passes, the Philadelphia Eagles will be looking very good. If he's completing the ball at a 58% ratio, the Eagles are going to win the football game.
And that's how this defense is designed. It wants to put you in a position where you have to pass. And, you know, in years past, you're like, we don't want to do that. And, what I see a lot of teams do, and this happens all the time with the Chiefs, and it annoys me. They play scared against the Chiefs. Like, I see teams do that all the time. And I'm like, why? Go right at them. And there's no reason to play scared against this particular Chiefs team this year. Yeah, they've won games. They deserve to be here. I just don't think this isn't like this. You don't got the cheetah on the back end, right? You don't got, a young Kelsey. You don't have, a young Kareem Hunt you got to worry about, although I never went to the bowl with him. But you know what I mean? There's chinks in the armor here, right? There's holes you can make.
Fudge them. How about that? Fudge them all. We're going to hit them.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's what we're going to do, hopefully.
Let me ask you guys this. I'm going to start with you, Cole. What is your favorite Super Bowl memory from when the Eagles beat the New England Patriots? Favorite play?
I'd like to go last, please.
Okay.
You know what I want to pick. I'm going to go ahead and pick it since I get to go first. A tight end touchdown pass to one goat leg Nick Foles.
I mean, I can't blame you there.
Yeah.
My favorite play, and I think it's an underrated play that a lot of people forget about, is when Malcolm Jenkins knocked the dust off of Brandon Cooks and knocked him out of the game.
We don't forget about that.
I think that changed the trajectory of that game. I feel like if Cooks was still in that game, that would have been a problem for us. And that he knocked the stuffing out of him. I thought like the Undertaker was going to come out and put him in an urn and just get out of here. So for me, that's my favorite play outside of the Philly special. I knew that was going to be the first one off the board, but I don't blame you. Gene,
was there, man. I had to jump on,
Gene, hit us.
I 100% thought the Philadelphia Eagles were going to lose this football game when they went down 33-32. And they came back and scored, missed the 2-point conversion. They were up 5. I'm like, man, you got Tom Brady. There's 2.5 minutes left. It's going to score a touchdown. I've seen this story written before. One of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my entire life that plays professional football. Guy's always got a smile. He's always saying something nice. He's always, positive. He's got an infectious attitude. A guy that was booed originally when he came to Philadelphia. We wanted Earl Thomas.
I was there.
When Brandon Graham strips Tom Brady and Derek Barnett picks that ball up, I then felt the Philadelphia Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it was just the moment, like it was every moment from then. I was on the edge of my seat until the end of the game. I was tempering emotions that entire game because I just didn't, especially the way Tom was playing. But man, when that strip sack happened and you see BG knock it out and Derek Barnett pick it up and you hear Merle, the Eagles have the ball! The Eagles have the ball! Like that. Oh, man.
Yeah, that was that. I do. That's an all-timer. Maybe BG ends the Super Bowl the same way. I don't know.
This one is for you, Philadelphia. This one is for you.
Dude, when that happened, I was like, oh my, because I kept saying, like, can we get a damn play on defense? Can we play some defense? And that happened. I was like, and that shows, man, like these dudes weren't giving up. Like they were getting smoked all day. All day. Yeah, 500 yards passing Tom Brady did?
Yeah.
And, you know, they kept pushing till the very end, man. And they were hungry dogs.
Limit.
Loved it. That was one of those plays where, you know, it's just that's where the inches come in, right? It's a game of inches.
It's time for score predictions. I will ask. I don't mind if I go first. I do not mind if I go last. Just do not put me in the middle of the sandwich. You could pick what order y'all want to go in, but I don't want to go. I want to go first or last.
I'll go in the middle. Yeah, nothing for me.
Gene, you go first.
Reverse Oreo. Let's go.
Like it. I'll tell you right now, my stomach's been bothering me all week because I care so much about this football game. I want them to win so bad. I want to be able to have my dad's urn watching this game and remember that time in 2018 when we hugged each other and went to Frankfurt and Cotman and celebrated. That has been ingrained in my memory. And then 2 years ago, we had that opportunity and we were watching the game and it got ripped away from me. Got ripped away from us. What a terrible, terrible, terrible penalty.
Trash.
I said this all postseason. In order to beat the champs, you got to knock them out. It cannot be on the scorecards. If it's close, the officiating, whatever, will find a way to hose the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think this game's close. I don't think this game is close. I think the Philadelphia Eagles blow them out. I think that defense is all over the field. Trust me, I know Pat will move the ball the way I know that they'll be able to move the ball at times. I get it. I think Pat Mahomes is really bottlenecked in this football game. A lot like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. When his offensive line caved and they couldn't block them, that defensive line got home and they got home early and often. I do think the Eagles will make a couple bonehead decisions as far as missing field goals or going for two. I think it'll be a weird score. Eagles 29, Chiefs 13. And I think there's 6 minutes left in the game, and you know the game's over. I think that Gatorade gets dumped on Sirianni's head with 2 minutes to play. I don't think you wait to the end of the game for this one. I don't think this will be a nail biter. Eagles 29, Chiefs 13, Birds win the Super Bowl. Let's go.
So we're going to be up 17 for most of the game, but they're going to get a late one because that's how the referees love them. So I'm going to go 34-24. Philadelphia Eagles 10-point win because they are going to get a touchdown late in the game to bust it down to the 10. 34-24. Let's not.
I like it. So just a stat I want to share with you guys. Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers, they did not score a touchdown. They lost 31-9. He was 26 of 49, 270 yards, and 2 interceptions. I'm not sure if he fumbled or not that game, but my point is I believe that this is an opportunistic defense. They will steal possession. They will get a turnover and capitalize off of it. And therefore, I think this game is more lopsided and the Eagles cover. They're a 1.5 point underdog right now. Total's about 48.5. Might fluctuate at some books. I think the Eagles are going to drop. I'm thinking about it's 38-20 Eagles.
38-20. I thought I'd be the bold prediction guy on here and say the Eagles blow them out, and you had to go higher. You scumbag.
Listen,
Scumbag.
the way I see the game playing out, I see the Chiefs not scoring a lot of points because they have to go for touchdowns and they end up turning the ball over late in the game, because on downs. That's where I see it coming. I know, listen, they're going to be like, of course, you guys are going to pick it as the Eagles podcast.
Damn right we are. Damn right. I'm not apologizing for it
either.
And all year, I've been the guy like, I don't know if they're going to win this week. I don't feel good about this one. Last week, I told you I felt great about it. 2 weeks, I told you I feel great about it. 3 weeks, I told you I feel great about it. I walked into Green Bay, LA, Washington, and I felt more confident in all three of those games I did all year.
So
money line's even money, but I do believe when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, were they 1.5 point underdogs? It might have been 2.5.
No, they were 5.5 point underdogs.
Oh, really?
I want to say in 2017, week 12, I got this feeling. And I was like, we're going to win a Super Bowl. In 2022, I didn't get that feeling. I tried, but it didn't come. In 2024, I got that feeling.
I'm ready to run through a wall right now.
Yeah, I think there's a couple stories that are great storylines that are going to be completed. I think this is a redemption Super Bowl for Jalen Hurts. It's a redemption for Mekhi Becton and a redemption for Saquon Barkley. And I think these three men,
everybody that was on the team in 2022 as well.
Which person on the Philadelphia Eagles team do you want it for the most?
Saquon Barkley.
Okay. I like that answer. I won't use that one because that's a very good one. Godfrey.
I want it for Jalen because I want Jalen to cement himself, and I know it's within him. I know he has that dog in him, and I know he's dialed back in for this. He's dialed in for this moment. I want it for Jalen.
They stole the rushing record from Saquon. I want this for him. Go ahead, sir.
Since you guys, neither one of you mentioned him, I'm going to give two here. I'm going to split it in half. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Last game is a Philadelphia Eagle. Last game is an NFL career. One of the greatest Philadelphia Eagles, one of the greatest people ever, one of my favorite Philadelphia Eagles, Brandon Graham. I want this for him. Battle back from that bicep tear to play in this game, make it his last game as an Eagle. I want that. But the person I've been saying all week I want it for the most is the guy I think is going to retire. Maybe not retire, but moves on from Philadelphia after this, and it's Darius Slay.
Yeah.
I think Darius Slay really deserves a Super Bowl to hang it up. I mean, you can already see the writing on the wall. The Eagles tried getting rid of him a couple years ago. They re-signed Bradbury. Slay tested the market, ended up coming back home. But I think I really want this one for Darius Slay. I want him to be able to win. I want him to be able to walk out in the sunshine. And he's been such a big he's actually been such a leader. You listen to Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, you listen to his young cornerbacks. They all point at Slay. We might not think he's the greatest, but they all love Slay. So I want to win it for Slay. Guys, we're at time. Any final thoughts?
Final thought is enjoy it because it's going to be a good one.
The final thought is less freaking hunt. That's the final thought.
My final thought is tune in to Sideline to Sideline. Oh, by the way, cool. I can send you the link. We're having our open. Anybody hop on tonight. We're basically doing our Super Bowl tailgate. So if you want to hop in, let me know. But tune in to Sideline to Sideline. We will be live in just 10 minutes. Thank you very much for tuning in to Birds Deep this week. Godfrey, send us out.
Listen, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Super Bowl weekend. Be responsible. Don't drink and drive. And this is cool. The NFL Genius and the Godfrey not saying goodbye, just saying take it birds deep. Win the chip, baby.